You are watching the Hub Network, the studio show, people, community, progress. Here is your host, Joe Kennedy.
All right, guys, we're back here for a second day. This time we actually have audio on, and I know you can hear me, so don't try to fool me and tell me that you can't, because I know that the audio is on. Matter of fact, I'm monitoring it right over here. But I will do the due diligence and the penance here and flog myself in front of the camera and say, that was absolutely my fault. It was a hectic day yesterday, and we just didn't get through the normal routine of checking everything like we should, and you pay for that every time, I can just tell you. So anyway, we're back on here graciously. The Band Directors 3, the Three Amigos. I don't know, I kind of tried to bill you guys as the Three Amigos. I don't know if that's going to work or not.
Yes, we're friends.
They're friends enough, yeah, okay. So it's just Spanish for friends, that's all it is. So anyway, we're gonna go back through that again today, and it was really some good information. And if you, of course, I know you couldn't hear it, so you heard the commercials, of course, were great, right? You get to hear all the commercials. But it was the absolute best interview I've ever conducted, and you couldn't hear one word of it. So I can't prove that. But today you'll maybe see the result of that anyway. So all right, so when we come back here on the studio show today, we're going to have all three band directors here. We're going to get into that, get into the background, get into what their plans are this year, and what the future plans are for the program coming up, and you're going to get to hear all that for real this time today. So stay with us. We'll be right back here on the studio show.
We'll be right back.
Watch the studio show Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m. People, community, and progress. Join us live on the studio show or the Hub Network Cushing Facebook page.
The studio show is brought to you in part by Stillwater Transfer and Storage and AAA Self-Storage.
At Davis Dental Studio, our patients are our friends. Unlike the big commercial facilities, Davis Dental Studios wants you to know you're not just a number. We strive to bring personal and quality service to each patient. Dr. Rebecca Davis has over 18 years of experience as a caring and compassionate dentist. She and her highly trained staff will make sure your visit is a positive one. So remember, when you and your family need dental care, Davis Dental Studio. You're not just a patient, you're a friend.
In my mind, I was never going to walk right again. Before we were through, we had walked 23 steps. And that was my first steps of freedom. This patient is saying thank you.
Bank of Cushing, a branch of Blue Sky Bank Pahuska, wants you to know they are still the same friendly hometown bank. Local people that live, work, and worship right here in Cushing. Providing you the same great service, more convenient products and technology, making your local banking experience even better. A great bank, serving a great community. Bank of Cushing, a branch of Blue Sky Bank Pahuska.
Since 2003, Pro Events has had one singular focus: great audio, video, and lighting systems. Never confusing our industry with the PC crowd, Pro Events always provides you with the best, most reliable options for your house of worship, school, or corporate training facility. Make your system stand out from the crowd. And remember,
for the best AV, you know where to go. Visit proevents.pro.
It's all good, man.
Participate in the show. Send an email to thestudioshow102@gmail.com.
All right, we're back. We're in the middle of a conversation, but we're back already. We're having lots of conversation because we've had such a long conversation yesterday that nobody got to hear. So Anyway, we're going to start right in today, but welcome again, Ryan, Taylor, and Julian. Thank you for coming back and fixing my mistake. And it's only going to be better because we had a whole day of rehearsal.
That's right.
Yesterday. So you're going to see this after rehearsed thing. One of the first things we wanted to start talking about was you guys are obviously here in Cushing. You have a little bit different story than everybody else. We'll get to your story too, but we kind of want to hear about what the background of all three of you are. I know that all three of you obviously are OU graduates, and we'll still let you stay, even though, right? But we want to hear kind of what you went through to get here and how you got to Cushing and how all that happened for you guys.
Yeah, so I grew up in Norman, and I joined band in 6th grade at Whittier Middle School, and I didn't, band, it was for me, but I wasn't super invested or involved until like 8th grade in high school. But once I got into high school, especially, I really took off doing all the band things, like marching band, concert band,
sure,
all the after school stuff, lessons. And then I auditioned for the School of Music at OU once I decided to be a band director. And then once I went to OU, everything just kind of amplified. And then I think I was student teaching at Edmond Santa Fe, and I heard of some guy named Danny White that was looking for someone.
Absolutely.
And my CT was like, I might give him your info.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
And now we're here.
And you're right alongside. You're in the same graduating class as Ryan, right? So tell us a little bit about your story too, and kind of how you guys ended up in proximity to each other, anyway.
Yeah, I'm from Grove, Oklahoma. It's a smaller town known for Grand Lake. I joined band in 6th grade. Both my band directors were trombone players, and I started on trombone. So I took lessons from 7th grade all the way through high school. I did all the band stuff. I knew I wanted to major in music since like 7th grade. It was just my thing. I liked band. I liked helping people, so music education seemed like the right path for me. And my band directors were big Arkansas fans, so they were disappointed when I went to OU as well.
even worse than going to OU. But anyway, okay.
Yeah. And we started college at the same time together. We had all the same classes, which is how we met. And one of our music education professors, Chris Baumgartner, was friends with Danny and told me about the job. We actually found about it, I think, on the same day, but from different people, which is kind of funny.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's how we found out about Cushing.
Gotcha. And you guys obviously both getting ready to graduate. Well, you were doing student teaching, so you were probably doing the same thing at that time.
Yeah, different
right?
places, but
right.
Same
and
time.
So that just kind of became something that you guys were commonly interested in, I guess.
Yeah.
And you were both commonly interested in each other, and so that worked out. Worked out pretty well, right? So, good. And Ryan, you are focused on percussion. That's really your major, and you were brass, like you mentioned. So. And tell us a little bit about that experience through college at OU, and I mean you see a lot of the drum line. That's a big deal in the OU marching band. So tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, so throughout OU, I played in the Pride of Oklahoma in the front ensemble, so the group in the front that's stationary, but the drum line is certainly a big part of the marching band there. I had a lot of friends on the drum line, and the percussion studio, which is where the percussion music majors kind of center themselves and learn and practice and all that. It's full of drumline members and non-drumline members, and it's a really great place. The professor, Dr. Andrew Richardson, did a really great job there at just making a really nice culture that all the students, that was like, we wouldn't go home if we had a 2-hour break from classes. We would go to the studio, and if we weren't practicing, just sit and talk and annoy each other with little things. Yeah.
You were living, breathing, eating that all the time, though, really, in college. I mean, that's I'm sure the same way with all of you guys, really. Yeah. I mean, Julian, we're going to get to your story here in just a minute. We're not leaving you out, but same thing with brass too. I mean, marching band, Pride of Oklahoma. That's a big deal to be even just in that band. It's hard to get in that band. So tell us a little bit about how that happened for you.
Yeah, I marched trombone. I was squad leader, which is like our leadership team when I was in college. Yeah, it was really fun. The trombones hung out a lot.
Which, if you're squad leader, that means you're pretty darn good.
We had we had a lot of trombones. I think we had 24 trombones in the Pride of Oklahoma when I was there, and then there were about 6 squad leaders. So That was a lot of fun. And the cool thing about music education at OU is that we learn all of the instruments. So even though I do most of the brass stuff, they know just about as much as I do with all the brass. Well, they can teach all the instruments as well.
Sure, and that's a big part of being a band director as well, is that you have to have experience on all those things in order to impart that information to the kids, obviously. So, all right, Julian, now we know your path is a little bit different, getting to where you are, but so
it's a circle.
It is a circle. It is a circle. But just in case people don't know, go ahead and tell us who you are and why you're here, Julian.
Well, I guess I was part of the Cushing Band before I was born.
There you go.
My mother and father were band directors. My mom actually has a funny story she told me the other day about whenever they were doing summer band camp and my dad was telling the students what to do, where to march, and then my mom was on the field with me in the stroller, pushing me after the students, yelling left, 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 making sure they're in step.
Right.
So that's the beginning of my band experience.
Right.
I suppose.
In a stroller out on the marching field. Yeah,
I'm sure I helped a whole lot.
Well, you never know. So you probably were getting, it was by osmosis. It was getting in you a little bit too. So you ended up, you graduated OU a little bit earlier than they did, and then you went to
2018.
2018, okay. A few years, about 4 years earlier than what you guys. Yeah. And then you went to Drum Ride, is that right?
I went to Kingfisher first.
I'm sorry,
That's where I started. Was there for a year. Then I went to Drum Ride, and I was there for 2 years.
Okay.
And then after Mr. Jusela passed away, he was at the Cushing Band program.
Yes.
And so after that huge gaping hole left in the program, who else could fill it? I don't think I could fill it, but I went over to Cushing at that point.
Well, and I know we said this yesterday too, but thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for mentioning that, because Mr. Jusela he was here for a year, and he had a huge impact on the band program, and obviously a huge impact on your family's life and your life, and being married to him, and we just offer our as a community offer our condolences to you for that, and I know that's still probably something that is still very present with you a little bit, but. Just know that you're surrounded by a community that cares very much about you and very much about your family and your legacy here in Cushing, and so and now Mr. Jusela's legacy here, even though as short as it was. So, but thank you for seeing that commitment to the Cushing bands. I mean, has gone a little bit deeper now, and I don't know of too many families that have been able to pass along a band program and keep it in the family. Do you know of that happening very, very much around the area?
There's a few.
Happened in my high school, actually.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Did it really? Okay.
Yeah, father and son. Son took over after father
Gotcha.
retired. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it is pretty rare. So.
Yeah, even rare in the sense that the whole family is involved. Really, I mean, so it's pretty unique, I think, in that aspect of it. So. But good to have all of you guys here. I know that the band program is better for it. So tell me, you're taking the approach a little bit differently as the three of you guys. So kind of tell me what that looks like to you guys and how that works for you all.
Well, we are co-directors.
Okay.
So that means that nobody is the overall head band director of the program. What they say goes. But rather, all three of us have certain areas of specialty, but we all have our hands in every part of the program, and basically when there's a class, nobody's teaching it by themselves. There's always somebody helping out, co-teaching, all supporting each other, and at the high school especially, it all comes together. But I suppose at the middle school as well, where woodwind specialists teaching beginning woodwinds, brass specialists beginning brass, percussion beginning percussion. So it's all about divide and conquer.
Right, and a lot of conquering sometimes in those early stages, right? So tell us. And you guys obviously have those specialty areas to work, and that pretty much encompasses everything that you're going to be teaching in band all the way through. And we were talking a little bit earlier about percentages. This is something we didn't necessarily cover yesterday, but we kind of got on it here before we started. But percentages of students that pick certain instruments, kind of tell us about how that breaks down and what you guys look for in new band students coming into the program in 5th and 6th grade.
Yeah, so 5th grade beginning band, we look for about 30% clarinets. I'm gonna need help with this. 20% low brass.
That's 50 so far.
Yeah, 20% high brass. That's the 70.
I think it's 30% trumpet.
30% trumpet.
Yeah.
Maybe
and then 10 and 10
trumpet.
for flute and percussion.
And yeah, that sounds about right.
It's on an Excel sheet.
Yeah, I have a very fancy Excel sheet whenever we test
She's
them.
really good at doing
I
those.
am. But, and our numbers are pretty great this year. We're excited. We've been a little low in low brass in the past, so we boosted that number up a little bit. We have a lot of clarinets, which is exciting. Lots of flutes. And we're just, we're really excited about the beginning class this year.
Something a little bit different about the flutes this year. Tell us what's a little bit something new.
So my beginning flute class is primarily made of male students.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's pretty uncommon from what I've experienced in the past. But every instrument that there is in the world, it's not a guy's instrument or a girl's instrument. It's an instrument, but it's just neat how that works out sometimes.
When I joined beginning band, I was the only girl in low brass, and now it's almost 50-50 here, which is pretty cool to see that change.
And that's kind of an odd thing too, because the perception is, well, you're carrying the big tubas or the heavier brass. So it's a little tougher, but there are a lot of obviously you're like yourself, a lot of females excel in that area. So I am very impressed actually with your prowess in the OU Pride of Oklahoma, being a section leader in the trombone as a female, because I don't think that's very common. Now, were there a lot of females in that area?
No, there was only a couple whenever I was there. I think it's gotten more diverse since in the past couple of years, but it's getting better.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. And it's just the way the world's going, though, right? Everybody's kind of learning to break down some of those barriers and try things that they maybe haven't done in the past. So that's good to hear on the woodwinds as well. So, and you said the numbers are good in beginning band. What's that like the first couple of days when you're taking somebody completely from 0 to 60? I've never played an instrument before. Now I've selected my instrument, and now I got to start trying to play it. What's that like?
Very fun. So
I detect a little sarcasm in that answer, but go ahead.
Maybe a little. I think it's really fun though.
Okay. All right.
No, the roughest part for me is whenever they don't have instruments. It's like that little limbo. I'm in band, but you really don't know what it's all about till you get that instrument in your hands and start working on it. Quick advertising plug, on August 16th, we have our first rental meeting where Save Music is going to be at the Dora Hobbs Performing Arts Center, and it's come and go from 4 to 7 p.m. So come on by after school, and that's where we're asking lots of our beginners to come and rent their own instrument. And then a week later on the 23rd, Palin Music will be coming, same time, same place, for the rest of the students to rent an instrument. And then our first day, where we should all hopefully have instruments in the beginning band program, is August 24th, the day after that meeting. And then that's when the fun part happens.
That's when the fun part starts.
Yes.
Well, and the interesting part about renting the instrument, so, you don't always know. You don't want to run right out and buy the top of the line, high dollar trumpet, right? And then 2 weeks later go, I don't know, Mom, I don't really want to play the trumpet. I think I'm a saxophone player. I think I'm something. So, and that's kind of a different thing. Actually, we'll talk about that a little bit too. But that's the purpose for doing that. So you kind of can try it before you spend a lot of money on it and buy it and that sort of thing and invest. So you can kind of figure it out a little bit. So what's that like for all those different types of instruments?
So for Save and Palin, you can also say the opposite. Like, you also don't want to buy something really cheap from Amazon that will break and then you don't have an instrument to play on. So with Sade and Palin, they have different pricing ranges. They have old and new instruments, and if the instrument breaks, they will repair it for you. So that's why we encourage them to do that. But it's pretty similar across the field with all instruments.
Right. And now, Ryan, I know as a former, well, I'm still a percussionist, but I don't practice quite as much. But going through that when I was a kid too, everybody wants to bang on something. That's easy to do. Just hand them a stick and a box, and you can beat on it. Right? Is that how it goes?
Yeah. Well, you're certainly right that a lot of kids walk in when we go to the upper elementary to test the kids for instruments. A lot of them come in with percussion, if not their first choice, one of their top choices.
Right.
So I do a lot of things just trying to see, who is the best fit for it, like coordination. Can they tap their left foot and tap their right hand at the same time? Steady beat. If I start padding along with them, can they continue without speeding up or slowing down? And that really helps. And a big thing too is just letting them know it's not a drum set class. It's not, you're going to get to learn to play rock and roll on drum set.
Oh, not really? That is so surprising. Yeah. That is so surprising.
You get a beginner on Thursday say, do we have to learn xylophone? And you're like,
yes, you do. Yes, you
learn
do.
Everything.
Yeah.
You learn every instrument. But once they kind of get that in their head, I haven't had no complaints after the initial confusion.
Well, and there's a little bit to that. I mean, so is there still a requirement that you need to have some piano background just because obviously the mallets and bells and those sorts of things are laid out like a keyboard. So
it's certainly not a requirement. It's usually something, if a student really wants to do percussion, I'll ask, do you have piano experience? And if they do, great. If not, that's okay. That's what these first few weeks when we don't have an instrument, that's what we're spending time on is, reading quarter notes and identifying notes on a staff, and in the percussion world with our practice xylophones, figure out what note is what. And we're lucky to have great elementary music teachers that set us up for success, so we're not teaching a whole new language on day one. It's they remember and they're excited to remember all of that.
Right. That used to be probably a little more stringent than it was back in the day. I know that, and that was usually I think that was the question, that they were trying to thin out the number of percussionists. Well, have you had more than 3 years of piano? And in my case, they were like, have you had more than 16 years of piano? Because we're not sure we really want you. And I'm like, no, I haven't had that many. But anyway, so I got it anyway somehow. I don't know, but it is very diverse in the percussion section because you are dealing with different structures of instruments and that sort of thing. How many
instruments?
Exactly, and how many instruments is that? Like 116, 100?
Something like that, probably. I mean, if I went through the middle school and the high school and counted everything, it would take me all year. But there certainly is a lot. Main things being keyboard instruments, xylophone, marimba, which they all read the same. They look different, but once you know the notes on one, you know the notes on all of them.
Right.
And then drums, like snare drum, tom drums, bass drums, anything like that. Same basic technique across the board. And then you have little instruments, which I call auxiliary instruments, like tambourine, triangle, which have surprisingly specific techniques to play.
Absolutely. And even that one everybody points out, the big orchestral piece, you see on TV, and the one guy has a triangle, he sits there and counts 78,000 measures of space, and then ding, and then you ding one time, then you're done. You go pack it up and go home, right? It's easy. Anybody can do that. So no training necessary to do that, right? So that's interesting on how all of those come together, and all of that together makes a band. I mean, and that's how it works. So it takes all of those specialty areas that you guys have to focus on to get all that to work. Now, we'd be amiss if we didn't mention the administrative side of that a little bit. I know you've got Danny is still helping a little bit, so he's not totally relegated to the backroom closet yet.
No.
And we still have a lot of support with Miss Buckles in the office. So tell us a little bit about what their role is.
Danny is doing a lot of logistical things and technology and all that fun stuff that we don't have to spend time doing, luckily, because he knows his way around that. Just the other day, he was sitting there with a screwdriver working on something. I don't know.
With a vibraphone and
creating that wasn't there.
Cutting up metal and putting it back together.
And Robin Buckles does everything logistically. She really helps us function as a program. We're really lucky to have her. And then we also have Rachel Madewell, who's working in color guard. She started our winter guard program last year, which was a brand new thing, and she worked really hard creating all of the choreography for it and picking the music. And she's helping with color guard again this year. She's doing color guard again this year, and she's helping us with our band visuals as well. So.
And that's a big part of obviously marching season, because all that the flag corps, whatever you want to call it, on the field. I mean, there's a lot to that too, and it takes a lot of everybody to be in unison usually, and to create things. There's a lot of creative process in that too. It takes a long time to get the skills necessary for that too. So, but that has been started in the Winter Guard program and carries on over. So they're getting, even people that aren't necessarily in band, I guess, can be a part of that as well. Right?
Yes, we're hoping to get more non-band kids involved in that in the future.
So that grows your numbers a little bit, makes your presence a little bigger on the field. One thing we didn't talk about too much is that the pit area in marching band. I mean, that's a stationary area where most of percussion is down there, and that's a big part of marching bands these days.
Yeah, and that's something like we mentioned that Danny is still being an active part in, is kind of being the front ensemble technician and doing all that. But that is a really great group to have, just for the color and the music that I can provide. And we have a couple high schoolers in it. We have 3 8th graders coming up to perform with us, which is really, really helpful. But you'll see it more often than a drum line in marching shows, surprisingly. A stationary group of percussionists with instruments that can't march. You can't push it around on a field. But there's lots of microphones so that it's all amplified, and different cymbals and lots of different equipment that just really makes the show better.
Very different from what it used to be 10, 20 years ago, for sure, and that's all evolved quite a bit. And the use of that in the shows has evolved quite a bit. Let's talk a little bit about where your show's going this year, what that's like, and kind of how you guys handle the responsibility of all the marching season going forward here.
Yeah, so I'm leading the marching part of marching band, which has been a lot of fun. Our show this year is As Time Goes On. It's time themed. Yeah.
So I on the music side, I'm leading a bit of that, just getting the music all pieced together. And I'm excited that it has music that the audience can recognize. Some music by Coldplay, by Cyndi Lauper, and then some original music in there too that just sounds very loud, in your face, marching band type. That kind of blends it all together. But I think overall, it's coming along very well. We had band camp. Not last week. Was it last week? Oh my gosh. Some time ago.
Feels like a month or two.
First week of August. We had band camp, and the students worked really hard. It was the hottest week of the year, and you couldn't tell by looking at them outside learning drill.
They worked so hard.
Yeah.
And inside learning music. The show is split into 3 movements, and we have to perform it memorized at contests. And they already have the first movement memorized, which is really helpful when it comes to learning drill, because that's already in their head. They don't have to.
Would you say it's a little ahead of schedule from what you normally are and typically in years past?
I guess from years past, yes. And also we were able to purchase not just the show, but also assistance. We have even some virtual band practice things we can do, copyright payments, just people that we work with. They if we tell them, hey, we lost this person, we need you to redo these charts without that spot in them, then they did it just in a couple of days, didn't they?
Yeah, they worked really fast.
So, and really compensating the show for what instrumentation you have and don't have and that sort of thing. And that's a big deal, because you can't just perform a show with a big hole in it, especially if you've got a melody line or something that's supposed to be there and it's not. So.
Our marching style is a little more defined this year, a little different. We're doing a straight leg technique, and instead of picking up our feet, we're doing a glide step. So it's been really new. We started a leadership team this year, which we were so happy with. They worked really hard. They showed up a week earlier than everybody else and learned all of our marching stuff, techniques and everything. And they also learned how to teach it. So they led a lot of sectionals for band camp. They helped morale stay up whenever it was 100 degrees outside. They were just a huge help this year.
And that's a big deal. We talked a little bit yesterday about how
it's
a band is. It is. It's very new. Yes, and but those are good things that are teaching them things that go far beyond music and band organization. But the band organization itself kind of being more like a military organization a little bit, because it has to get broken down into sections and leaders of those sections and those groups working well together to come together to make a bigger team. And so there's a lot of similarities there, are there not?
Yeah.
I mean, you think about just getting the students, especially the freshmen. We had the freshmen come in early too with the leadership. So just those 2 groups, and they got, because this is brand new. Everything we're doing out there is brand new. But our leadership team was great at getting them acclimated to all of it. But just getting them to you have to stand up this certain way. Your instrument has to come up on this count. If it's a half a beat late in concert band, okay, you're sitting down, maybe no one notice. It's like someone will notice if it's half a beat late, and that could dock us points at a contest.
Right.
Yeah. And if you don't march with the right style, your sound will sound very bobby and wobbly and not stable. So it's everything we do is to make the entire band better, and everybody needs to work hard at that, which they have been.
We'll keep a tally probably of how many times we have to say, this isn't a walking band, this is a marching band.
I only said it once during band camp.
I think I said it
I said it at least twice.
Probably
to myself, I said it a couple times.
And that's just until obviously the students have to get used to that new style of marching. I mean, it's not you're not picking your knees up to your ears every time you're walking across. I mean, and there's a more modern style basically of those shows. And I remember when I was in high school, I thought my band director was an old military. I think he was from the. I want to say the Marine Corps band. So it was very, very strict, and we were very, very traditional. And it was like that's the way it was, right? So, but now it's a little more abstract in its context a little bit. And so, but the music you say is going to be more recognizable. You mentioned Cyndi Lauper. I'm sure Time After Time is probably one of those songs that maybe might be.
You'll see.
Okay, all right. Well, I won't give it anything away there. I haven't heard it, so I don't know. But that's an important thing to make the connection in the atmosphere with the audience and with the band itself and the performance itself, isn't it? Is that important for you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Just connecting with our audience at home football games and giving them a show that they want to get invested in and sit and watch and listen to, and just for the students to know like, oh, this is what I'm playing. I'm not playing, I love all band music, but I'm not playing something written by so-and-so that died in 1847. Right. I'm playing something that I can turn.
That's what you're saying.
I can turn on the radio and I hear the stuff that we're playing in band class.
Go ahead.
Sorry. The music is also a different style than what we've done in the past for marching. And last semester, whenever we played it for the students, they were really excited about it. So I think they're excited about the marching and the music.
And that's important too, because you need buy-in from the students. You need buy-in, and so they'd be excited about the performance of that, and to make that shine as bright as it can during those performances.
And about the marching show and the modern marching show and everything like that, buy-in of the students, but we're trying to get the audience to buy in as well. And it's important for the students to know and to remember that all the little details we're focusing on are so we can create this big picture where somebody in the audience is just drawn into the performance, and they're not drawn in by, oh, that person's got their foot on the wrong count or something like that, or they didn't bring their instrument up on time. We're working on those details. That's oddly very hard to do, but so that they're drawn in by what they see, what they hear, seeing something cool that they haven't heard. And we're hoping that the audience, it's not like a formal concert. Whenever you see something or hear something you like on the marching field, clap for it, cheer. It's very informal in that way.
Soloist again this year. I mean, we've seen a lot of soloist, which is unique to the marching show too as well. So
yes.
So, but a lot of that is, I mean, that is not just it is for the atmosphere of the game. It is for the atmosphere of the stadium and the surroundings, and it all goes to creating that atmosphere that's very school-oriented, school spirit-oriented, that all permeates all the way through that. And you guys do a good job of adding to that. I want to talk a little more about what else you got Danny White busy doing. Now that you're kind of shoving him around wherever he's not shoving you guys around. You guys are doing the shoving these days, right? So we'll talk about that a little bit when we get back here on the studio show. Hang on just a minute.
We'll be right back.
The studio show is brought to you in part by Stillwater Transfer and Storage and AAA Self-Storage.
Well, hello, Whitney. How are you?
Hello, John. So here's the proposal packet for the new mobile app.
As long as I'm running this thing, there ain't gonna be no mobile app.
Introducing the new mobile app, making your banking experience even easier. It's so easy, even John can use it. Bank of Cushing, a branch of Blue Sky Bank, Pawhuska.
We have a help tab if you need help. We will have...
I don't need help. I'm pretty good at this.
You are good at this.
Since 2003, Pro Events has had one singular focus: great audio, video, and lighting systems. Never confusing our industry with the PC crowd, Pro Events always provides you with the best, most reliable options for your house of worship, school, or corporate training facility. Make your system stand out from the crowd. And remember,
for the best AV, you know where to go visit proevents.pro.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
At Davis Dental Studio, our patients are our friends. Unlike the big commercial facilities, Davis Dental Studios wants you to know you're not just a number. We strive to bring personal and quality service to each patient. Dr. Rebecca Davis has over 18 years of experience as a caring and compassionate dentist. She and her highly trained staff will make sure your visit is a positive one. So remember, when you and your family need dental care, Davis Dental Studio, you're not just a patient, you're a friend.
RCB Bank is more than a transaction. We work to make your life easier. We help build your business. We finance your dreams. We grow your legacy. We build relationships with our communities. Come in to find out why our customers always say, RCB Bank. That's my bank.
It's all good, man.
Participate in the show. Send an email to thestudioshow102@gmail.com.
Watch the studio show Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m. People, community, and progress. Join us live on the studio show or the Hub Network Cushing Facebook page.
All right, we're back here on the studio show, and that's not the right button. That is closer to the right button. So we were talking a little. We were just talking here between commercial breaks here a little bit on all the intricacies that go into this, and I want to have you guys back later on in concert season, you know, to kind of talk about some of the other things. But band is really an all-season sport. I mean, there's really. I mean, if you're gonna, let's just get down to it, Taylor. If you're gonna plan a wedding, what month do you have to plan it?
Probably in the summer.
Probably in the summertime?
Yeah, we will
Okay.
see if it happens next summer. We're
Gotcha.
hoping,
Gotcha.
but-
Okay. Somewhere in that space
Yeah.
between the years, if you get a little bit of that. I thought I'd throw that out. It's the only way I can catch you on it today. We went through that yesterday. So, but the point there is that band is all year round, and you start in last part of July. Really, you started in April picking out what you're going to do, and then leadership camp starts, band camp starts, and now you're into school, and it's just really foot to the floor all the way through concert season in May. And then finally, you may get to take a little bit of a band trip somewhere, but you got probably another contest to prepare for during that even. So, what does all that look like to you guys? How do you guys handle that?
It really meshes together. I mean, we'll be, getting towards the end of marching season, and then we'll have to prepare for a Veterans Day performance, and then, before, and honor bands happen at the same time the students go and audition. But we'll be, before marching season ends, we'll be trying to think, okay, winter concert, what do we want to play? What are the groups going to be like? What who's teaching what, and then as soon as that's done, it's okay. Well, we have contest. Let's start preparing for contest, and that leads into the spring concert. Spring concert, we're thinking towards the next show, and like you said, we get a little bit of the summer to just kind of plan and look forward to the next thing that's going on, but it all meshes and overlaps over each other.
It's just very busy.
As I said earlier with beginning band, the awkward time is before we have instruments. After the instruments, I think the kids, they enjoy the busyness. They might not perceive it as busyness, just always getting to do something different, the next new thing. So the kids, especially after a few years, they're used to the cycle, they anticipate it, and kind of like the most boring days we have in band are if we have any dead time, which we don't really, except maybe at the very end of a semester or at the very end of the school year. But other than that, it's go, 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 and that's what they enjoy about it.
I mean, really, you're always putting a new piece of music in front of them. I mean, if there's any dead time, and again, like you said, there usually isn't, because your mind's always on to the next thing we've got to do and prepare for. And so even if you get an extra day or two of getting a piece of music in front of a student, you want to get it out there, do you not?
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yep.
So there's all sorts of things to prepare for, and like you said, just moving from marching season into solo and ensemble competitions, contests, all that kind of stuff is pretty big deal. Now, we haven't really talked about specifically that we could hear today on this show. We did talk about it yesterday, but nobody could hear it. But we'll talk about it today. The 3 contests you have in marching season in 10 days, I think you said.
Yeah, so we have 3 contests that we'll travel to for marching season, and it's a Saturday, the following Tuesday, and the following Saturday. So a week where we go through all 3 of our competitions. The first one being October 7th, that's in Glenpool, and we'll travel for that one. We'll be there all day. It is a kind of a traditional placement contest, so we'll do a prelims performance. Of that group, a certain amount will make finals. We'll do a finals performance, and then we'll get ranked 12th through 1st. And there are some extra, like I think there's a Best Color Guard award, there's a Best Drum Major award, and a Fan Favorite award. But we'll go home with some sort of trophy, hopefully, from that. And then the next Tuesday, turn right back around, and we go to our OSSAA regional contest. That one's a little bit different. It's not really, we're competing against ourselves. We're not competing against other bands. We pull up, warm up, perform, go home. It's during a school day, and we're not ranked against other schools. We're given a rating 1 through 5. 1 is a superior, 2 is excellent, 3 is good, 4 is fair, and then 5 is poor. So obviously you want like a 1 or a 2. Yeah, you don't want any of those.
If it's a 5, we're not going.
But there's 3 judges. And if a majority of them give you a 1 or superior, you get an overall superior. And that is step 1 of 3 of getting the sweepstakes award at the end of the year, which is the closest thing to a state championship a band can get. But that starts October 10th, and I think it's in Ulaga this year. And then we have fall break, and then on Saturday of fall break, October 14th, we have the Oklahoma Bandmaster Association state championships for 4A bands in Edmond. And that is like Glenpool, a placement. There'll be prelims, certain groups go home, finals, we perform again, and then we get ranked from 12th to 1st. And that last year we went and made finals for the first time as a 4A ever. So we're looking forward to going again this year and seeing if we can push the envelope anymore with that. But those are the 3 contests that we're looking forward to, and kind of, the show is for halftime and it's for the fans and for the audience, but it's also, we're looking forward to that. Sometimes the shows at football games are considered rehearsals for the performances at contests.
Right.
It'll be a week of a lot of work and a lot of comments from judges and a lot of feedback, so hopefully the students and us will be
That's really where you're focusing everything towards that. Working, obviously, it's a big weekend, and it's a lot of work. And just about the time you get to fall break and a long weekend, we cram a contest right in the middle of it, so you can't go anywhere and do anything like get married, like that. So we have to save that for summertime. So I'm gonna play on that a little bit anyway. But that is why it's so stinking busy all the time, because those things have to happen. Obviously, those competitions, and let's just go back to last year real quickly, because you did finish up with the sweepstakes, and almost a little bit of the bonus there, where the jazz band almost got in on the superior side of that, missed it by just a point or just a rating there.
Rating, yeah.
And so that's got to be pretty exciting for the momentum of the program, and a great way for your dad and your parents to end their career. Yeah, absolutely. So, but that gives a lot of underclassmen in the program something to strive and shoot for, and to put something out in front of them, does it not?
Yeah, last year the sweepstakes we got, it was our first since 2017, and I think the 4th overall in program history. So this year, I don't remember the exact years, but this year we'd have the opportunity to get back-to-back sweepstakes for the first time ever. No Cushing band has done that before, so it's a really good opportunity. I think the students are aware of it. They were very pleased with their sweepstakes last year, which they should be, because it's all them when we do this. Like, we could stand up in front of them and say we can say stuff at them all day, but it's those group of kids that put in the effort and execute when it's needed.
That training has to come out of them at that point in time. I mean, that's where it all culminates, right?
Yeah. So I think they're looking forward to it, and that they are excited to go for the back-to-back sweepstakes this year.
Well, that's a pretty cool opportunity, and a cool opportunity for you guys, because as you're starting into your tenure here, really going forward, I mean, that's something that you want to build on all the way through, and just make as better all the way through as much as you can. What are the things that when you think about something like that? We didn't really talk about this yesterday, but what are the things that goes through a director's mind as far as regarding your job? How do you make yourself better so that you can impart that to the kids? What do you look for there? That's kind of a tough question, but what would you guys say to that?
Sounds like a professional development conference question.
We don't need any more of those, I can tell you that.
I think it's important to rely on each other and each other's strengths. That's a cool thing about co-teaching and co-directing.
I'm not good at making Excel sheets, nor do I enjoy it.
I enjoy it.
And then Mr. White, he has lots of experience with logistics and all kinds of stuff, prop building, what have you. And
he likes rocks.
He
likes rocks.
There's no rocks this year. No rocks.
Okay, no rocks.
Last year at a contest.
You heard it here first. No rocks.
There was an incident last year at a contest where it completely fell over.
Oh, that was funny.
Oh, wow.
So after that was the last contest, and the whole prop just right after.
Throw it
and
away.
I was like, trash. Here we go.
Trash.
We're done. So no rocks this year. But going back to the other question, I think it's important to rely on each other, because like during rehearsals we'll hear different things, and if I don't hear anything, I like asking, like, hey, Ms. Drusilla, what did you hear? Just getting other feedback. I think that helps the program a lot, not relying on just ourselves but each other.
Yeah, and also relying on the other band directors in the community. I think one of the coolest things about band overall is that we're all reaching the same goal, which is a sweepstakes, but we're not it's not one band gets a sweepstakes, so we can get help from others. And Julie mentioned professional development. There's whole conferences set up just for music educators to meet up and to talk and to share ideas, and that's what I'm looking forward to at football games too, is sneaking off to the other sides and talking to their band directors. And we're lucky to have a lot of really good support in the area, like not only them, but the Perkins band directors, Randy and Abby Goodnight, have been already huge help. They help us with a lot, and we try to return the favor. And
it really is kind of a small community though when you get right down to it, because everybody's focused so much on the same things and wants to be good at it. It just takes so many resources to do that. Not only time and money, but just expertise too, and knowledge of all that. And sometimes that's where I think you guys have a real advantage, kind of taking your combined experience and working towards the same goal. So that's going to be interesting to see how that develops a little bit this year. What other advantages do you think, even just when you look at the students and from the leadership camp on and how the students have kind of gravitated to that, how do you see them really excelling, with that in mind, the rest of this year? How will that look going further along in the year with leadership and that sort of thing?
I think it'll continue to just kind of give them motivation in a way, especially that leadership team. We went into it with kind of no expectations. I didn't know if 3 people were going to turn in applications or if the whole band was, and we had a good group that made it difficult to choose the team that we did. But as soon as like other students were there and they got to help, they were right there ready to help them. And that was great because it gave us time, instead of us having to go and lead the sectionals, we got to kind of huddle up and, okay, this is going well, we should do a water break and then come back and work on this, and this. Before we'd have maybe 10 seconds to do that as we're walking past each other. But it gave us time to huddle up. And we did just some things to help the culture grow a little bit in band camp. We had social events that happened after band camp that were optional and free for the students to go to, and the leadership team helped plan those. And they had lots of good ideas to the point where we were like, we should keep doing these. So we might do one, end of marching season that they can play after the winter concert, just kind of the milestones of the year that we can kind of celebrate our achievement and have the student leaders.
Band's not a regular class. I don't think math class goes to get pizza after their test is over. Right. Although feel free to steal that idea.
We also had some dress-up days that our leadership team came up with, and we've never done this, or I don't know, we didn't do it last year. I haven't been here for that long, but we didn't do any.
Up. We had a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, and I was surprised with the turnout of how many kids dressed up, because the first day almost every single, it was like color day, so like brass blue, and
woodwind's yellow,
and percussion was purple,
guard red.
Yeah, you remember. But almost everybody showed up dressed up, and I think that helped a lot with our community and the friendship in our band program.
You mentioned the culture and just cultivating that a little bit. I mean, it's more than just playing music, right? It's the relationships. It's like anything in life. It's those relationships that really bond the group together and make it strong when things get tough. When you are out in the 110-degree heat and in your uniform, and it's like, got to step up and do the job, right?
So, and that's another thing that kind of makes it different from other classes is that, we have these 5th graders coming in, and they, they might know each other, they might have a friend or two in the class, but in reality, it's like, well, look around you. These people will probably be in your section, if not in your band, for the next 8 years.
Yeah.
Right.
So they have so much time to develop those friendships, and we're lucky that, an issue that some bands will see is that their freshmen will come in and then they're really alienated in a corner, and it's the freshmen here and the upperclassmen are here. But we haven't had that issue, I don't think, with anything this year with the upcoming freshmen. It's just
freshmen have worked hard.
The freshmen have worked very hard, and I think the upperclassmen can see that, and it's just, you're a band at that point. Right. It's not divided into sections, it's not divided into class, it's just you're in the band, and that's one unit.
Well, let's face it, in a band this size, when you're talking 4A and kind of the lower end of 4A, I mean, every person counts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, one more person on an instrument can make a big difference in the sound that you put out, the volume you put out. And it takes everybody to do that. So you really can't have any bad days as far as relationships go. You really got to get over that stuff, and you kind of need to move on and be able to do the thing together, because it is not unless you're going to a solo competition, which is one completely other thing.
Yeah.
It is a team project all the way around, is it not? Absolutely. Which I think is cool. We talked about this a little bit. So you guys are kind of modeling that aspect now. Being co-directors, we'll have to get used to saying that phrase. But isn't that kind of how you guys are looking at this?
I suppose it takes a team to build a team.
Yeah.
So.
There you go.
No, we work really well together. It's fun leading, and I do think we are a good example for the students.
That's good. And I think all those things that you've instituted this year, as far as building those relationships off the marching field, out of the band room, per se, just only strengthen that, a whole lot. And I think you'll see some good results from that too. And I think, the musicianship, obviously, you probably can't overstate that either, because you guys bring some very good musicianship. I wanted to say, I know of each of you to be very good individual musicians, and that's a big deal, because that's what the students look at as the model, is what and I can just say, I know from Julian here, with our own saxophone player coming home, how important that is they see that, and they model that, and they come home, and I'm like, I see the same exact body language in my daughter that I see in Julian when she's playing on stage, which I really enjoy your saxophone playing, by the way. It's really good, stage band and all that other good stuff. So all that is so important to the building of those programs, and I know that you guys are working really hard and all that. I know we need to mention, let's talk about the Facebook page and communication a little bit, because I know that's a big thing that you guys are working on this year. So tell us what is the main way, or a couple of the different ways that you're using this year to get the word out about different items.
Well, on a public scale, we have the Cushing Band's Facebook page. You can search that, like it, follow us. There are lots of pictures from our marching band camp, including the section color days, some students, leadership team leading sectionals. There's lots of neat pictures, maybe a short video of a water balloon fight at the park, which got pretty intense, I hear. I was just the camera person, so I stayed dry. But lots of fun stuff there. I've also got announcements about how beginners can get instruments, and we're just trying to put lots of information out there that way. And then on a more like, we don't want to share exact locations, dates, times with the whole general wide world. So we have a Cushing HS Band Parents group, type exactly that, Cushing HS Band Parents. And that has special information just for the high school parents.
These would be like venue locations and times and specific things about when performances are going to happen and that sort of
Also, if we need any help with anything, booster communication, volunteers, stuff like that will also be on there.
Gotcha.
And let's see, Taylor's good at Excel, but Ryan has this cool newsletter that he's been working on. So you can find the first issue of that on the Cushing HS Band site.
Good.
But as well as that, we have the band app for our students.
Okay.
High school
band
and
students.
8th graders that are involved in our high school events.
Yes. And each student has that app, hopefully, that they've got that and they're getting communicated with.
If they have a phone, they have the app.
Gotcha. And so that's how you're communicating with them directly, and then there will also be some ways for them to pass that information on to parents as well. You're talking about the other Facebook pages and that sort of thing. So we'll look forward to seeing that. We'll share some of that stuff. As a matter of fact, I'll try to get links to those as you guys kind of show me directly where they are. We'll get them posted on our sites too, so they can be spread around and people can know where that's at and get that information. But that's helpful information. Sometimes there's not always, like at a contest, it's not always exactly at the high school of the school you're going to, and so there may be a little bit different directions, how to get to the exact venue or where the band is meeting up or where the band is going to be in preparation of the contest or whatever it is.
That's where the band app can be very helpful, because we can send a message, hey, we thought we were going to warm up at this time, it's actually going to be this time, be there. So just quick communication that we can't just yell to everybody all at once.
Last minute changes and that sort of thing. And a couple other things we want to talk about, obviously the funding of the band booster club, which it helps you guys tremendously. Obviously the biggest portion of that comes through the concession stand at the high school and during high school football game night, those nights on Friday nights. And the concession stand, we hope, will be ready. We don't know exactly if it'll be ready. We're not having the scrimmage stuff there, but if it's not, the band boosters are prepared to have something, refreshments out there on tables, tents, whatever it takes. So visit the if you make a purchase at the concession stand on Friday nights, just know that's going towards helping the band program and the arts, well, more specifically the band program. And then the mattress sale that's coming up. Tell us a little bit about that.
All right.
Who gets that job? All right.
Yes, I do. So, if anybody in the community needs a mattress, and I believe the mattress salesperson said that about 10% of you will, any given year.
And that's about 800 people in Cushing,
right?
There we go.
So 800 people better show up. August 26th, it's a Saturday. Show up anytime, 10 to 5 p.m. on that day at the Cushing High School Field House. They'll have...
Is that in the lobby of the field house?
Yes, in the lobby. They'll have like 20 bed displays set up, and then you'll be able to pay by card, I believe. Shouldn't have brought that up, because now they're going to ask, can I pay cash? And I don't know, but should be able to pay by card. But anyway, come try out a mattress, and it's not just mattresses, it's pillows, it's sheets, it's those little chair things that also turn into day beds that I don't know what they're called, but come check it out.
Well, there was, and I think there's a lot of information. Been at the last band booster meeting, there was a lot of information about that.
And it's not just supporting the band, it's supporting the choir as well. So choir and band, come support us.
And it's a pretty good fundraiser for you guys. It's raised a good amount of money in the past, and I think you guys have continued to do it. I think it's what, the third year or fourth year? 3rd or 4th. I don't know which.
None of us have been here.
So
It goes back. It's 4 years old. It goes back before any of you guys.
I think it's like the 6th or the 5th or something.
Yeah, it's something like that. But the point is, it's been successful enough to have that every year. And you might think, oh, well, we bought a mattress. I think it's been 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember exactly which, but I'm sure before we have another student graduate through the program, we'll probably do for another one somewhere in there. Awesome. So, for people that you have a need there, obviously, instead of going off and just giving your money to somebody else, it doesn't matter. You can do that and get a good quality mattress here and support the arts here in Cushing and do that. So we'd encourage you guys to come out on what date was it?
26th.
26th, August 26th, 10 to 5 in the field house of on the high school campus. So is it in the lobby of the field house?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So just up there in the main lobby of the
There'll
field
be a
house.
bunch of signs as well.
Gotcha.
Yes.
You'll see them all over the place, I'm
Possibly
sure.
somebody in a mattress costume. You never know.
Yeah. Lucky person that gets to get in a mattress costume in 110-degree heat.
We'll do shifts.
There you go. So that good information there. So come out and support the band in that effort and do something that really makes a difference in these kids, because it does a lot. There's a lot of things that the band boosters can do. One is feeding these kids. I mean, I know the band boosters wants to get more involved in taking care of kids, just like the football team. When the football team leaves town, they get fed, they get watered, they get prepared for the game. Same for the band. They need to eat too. They need to be hydrated and all that good stuff. And so and at contests and all the other things that you guys have going on throughout the year.
Yeah.
What else do you guys see that is important to get out here and mention today when we have actually audio working?
Yeah. Well, just some things to look forward to in the band. You'll see us in some new uniforms this year that are orange.
Orange, that's awesome.
Sleeves. Yes, but we're lucky for our administration for getting those to become a reality, and we're excited to show them off. Once you're at the field house on Saturday, August 26th, if you look to the auditorium and then look at the dirt patch to the left of it, that's our new band room that's being constructed right now, and hopefully will be done by the start of next school year. And we talked a little bit, I know yesterday, about kind of recruitment and keeping kids in band. This band room is going to have 2 rehearsal spaces. And the exciting thing is to think that one day we could have, instead of 1 marching band and 1 concert band, or 1 big marching band, and then we split into 2 different concert bands, and 1 rehearses in one room, 1 in the other, and that would benefit students a whole other way. The levels of players and individual playing abilities could be met a little bit more. The stronger players could play more fulfilling music. The students that need a little bit more help could get a little bit more help without, neither one is settling for something that they're not ready for yet. So that's exciting to look forward to. Just the whole band room overall will be really great for the future of the program.
Built to grow.
Yeah, and that's a good thing for the program too, right? There's some future thought in how that's going to go together and how you're going to develop some of that. And we've got the people here, we've got the people in place to do it, and the mindset in place to do it. Now, you haven't completely put Danny out to pasture yet, although, some of us would think maybe he belongs way out in the pad. No, we don't think that. We're glad he's still around. But he's still going to be doing a couple of things that he really loves, which is jazz band a little bit. So talk about that just a little. He's not here, so you can say whatever you want to about him.
Well, he loves the jazz band, and he's going to lead it.
Okay.
Yep, second hour.
And this is like we talked about last year. They were just so close to maybe being at a superior level there on the jazz band. This may be another opportunity for them to make another run at that, and I think he's a good one to do that. He really does enjoy that, and you can see that come through, I think, in all the concerts over the years, with him too. So
and seeing just how people are rebuilding since the COVID pandemic. The jazz band here also is in a rebuilding process. We have a robust rhythm section. We're working on adding more winds, but in a couple of years we'll have even more jazz opportunities for our students, because again, there's marching band, there's concert band, but music is everywhere. There's all kinds of styles, and our jazz band really provides students an opportunity to do that. And eventually we can have a middle school jazz band and further feed into that.
Right.
So.
In jazz band, you're kind of getting the real world application of your gigging a little bit, right?
Yes.
You're going out, you're setting up, you're doing a show, sometimes a good set, maybe a 45-minute set or something like that. and that's good experience. And you're just in front of a different audience too, which is another thing. And sometimes those audiences are more appreciative of, you know, that style of music, what they hear, and they get to connect with the band that way, and students get to connect with audience members that way. So that's kind of a cool deal. I think it's always a neat thing for good, strong jazz programs, and I think we've really developed one here over the last several years. Lots of good bands over the last several years, and so it's exciting to see and hear that they did what they did last year, and we're just really, really close in all aspects of it, of just kind of pushing over the edge and becoming even a more a higher quality program than what we were. So I know that's important to all of you guys, and how you're perceived, and how the band is perceived in the community, and how the band is perceived around the state as well, right? So anything else you guys have? I mean, what specific day you want to announce? On a wedding day, summertime, is that as close as we're going to get?
We could throw a dart and guess, but no promises.
Do you know what day it is?
No, we could guess.
No, you Brian's like, I'd like to guess. Let me guess. No. Okay, you didn't.
We talked a lot about the high school band. The middle school band is also going to have a lot of stuff going on.
Yes.
I believe we'll be playing at Festival of the Park, so come watch us at that. Watch us at the football games. We won't have the full show for the first game, but each game we should have a little bit more. So keep watching us and supporting us at football games. That would be awesome.
You bet. And we'll have, as we always do on the Hub Network, we'll have a halftime show right before you go to contest. It'll be dedicated to watching that. So you'll know about that coming up, so you can have maybe distant grandparents and relatives tune in and kind of see everybody perform that a little bit too. So. But we sure appreciate it. Thank you guys for overcompensating for my mistake yesterday and coming back in and getting this information back out. I think it's very important to the community. I think it's important, obviously, to the program and the parents that are involved there too. So thank you very much for imparting all that information. So continued success to you guys, and stay out of the heat as much as you can in September. That's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So. All right, back to school tomorrow and back at it. And woo, exactly. Everybody's excited, right? So, all right, well, that's it for us today here on the studio show. Thank you guys for watching us. We appreciate you tuning in a second time, again, to compensate for my failure yesterday. So hopefully we'll have fewer of those as we go forward. But stay tuned. We'll have stuff coming up. We're going to have the coaches show coming up this year, too. We'll have these guys back a little bit later on in the year to talk about the changeover from maybe the results in marching band and then into concert season and all that good stuff. So stay with us. Next time on the studio show next Saturday, we'll have somebody. I'm not exactly sure who it is, but we'll have him. So we'll see you next time on the studio show. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you for watching The Studio Show. People, community, progress.